All right, let's get cooking. Welcome to the latest edition of Chin Check Sports Radio. I'm your host, JD. I want to thank you all for taking the time out to join us. And as always, we welcome any suggestions, feedback, comments, and criticisms, which improves the quality of our program, which ultimately improves your listening experience. Before we get started, we want to send all of you thank you for your tremendous support. People are slowly but surely finding out about who we are and what we do. They enjoy and respect the passion with which we speak. But as we always say here at Chin Check Radio, we do this because we love it, as we are simply sharing our passions with you all as we continue to build our listening army to take over the world. We here at Chin Check Sports Radio are your go-to on YouTube for Dallas Cowboys coverage during the football season, as well as any and all news Dallas Cowboys. So we're going to continue on. Week 9 loss on the road against the Green Bay Packers, and Mike McCarthy's return to Lambeau Field since being fired from the Green Bay Packers, coaching the Dallas Cowboys, a team he once led to the Super Bowl. Let's get into our numbers here. Quarterback Dak Prescott, 27 of 46 attempts, 256 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Tony Pollard, 22 carries, 115 yards. Malik Davis, 5 carries, 38 yards. CeeDee Lamb, 11 catches, 150 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Tight end Dalton Schultz, 6 catches, 54 yards, 1 touchdown. Michael Gallup, 4 catches, 35 yards. On the defensive side, DeMarcus Lawrence, 7 tackles, 5 solo, 1 sack, 1 tackle for a loss. Donovan Wilson, 7 total tackles, 5 solo. Micah Parsons, 7 total tackles, 5 solo, 1 tackle for a loss. Leighton Vander Esch, 7 total tackles, 4 solo, 1 tackle for a loss. Deron Bland, 6 total tackles, 5 solo. Kelvin Joseph, 5 total tackles, 4 solo. Jaron Kearse, 5 total tackles, 3 solo. Luke Gifford, 5 total tackles, 3 solo. Trevon Diggs, 5 total tackles, 3 solo. Quinn Bohanna, 4 total tackles, 2 solo. Neville Gallimore, 3 total tackles, 3 solo. Dante Fowler, 3 total tackles, 2 solo. Malik Hooker, 3 total tackles, 1 solo. Sam Williams, 2 total tackles, 1 solo tackle, 1 sack, 1 tackle for a loss. And Osa Odigozua, 2 total tackles, 1 solo. And Damon Clark, 2 total tackles, 1 solo. Well, where did it go wrong? Now, here at Chin Check Radio, we take pride in not glossing over wins, nor overreacting to losses. If you look at Cowboy Twitter and every other sports personality commenting on this game, yes, it was bad for the Dallas Cowboys, but there are some things to look at, but of course, do have to call some things out. The Cowboys were up in the third quarter, 28-14. They had seized momentum in the game. You could tell the momentum was all on their side. All they had to do was play sound defense and run the football. And as you go by the final score, losing in overtime 31-28. But where did things really start to unravel for the Dallas Cowboys? Dallas Cowboys get a touchdown. They're up 7-0. They get a strip sack fumble from DeMarcus Lawrence on Aaron Rodgers. At this point, all the momentum is on their side. Where at worst case scenario, you kick the field goal deep into Green Bay territory, you're up 10-0 or at best 14-0, and that effectively would have ended the game for the Green Bay Packers. Dak Prescott throws an interception in the end zone where it looks like a miscommunication on the route between Dalton Schultz and CeeDee Lamb. And I think it was more of a Dalton Schultz looking at the reaction of one CeeDee Lamb as well as Dak on the sidelines. So a miscommunication there, but the turnover ultimately falls on the quarterback. So now the Packers take that and go down the field. Now the game is tied 7-7. Dak Prescott throws another interception. It looks like a miscommunication on the route to CeeDee Lamb. Now the Cowboys are down 14-7 on the road against a Packers team who lost 5 straight games, and the Cowboys were coming off of a bye. Cowboys get the ball back at the end of the second half, put together a great drive to turn the tide, to literally stop the bleeding, and now we're tied 14 on the halftime. The Cowboys seize control what we thought was in the third quarter, going up 28-14. At this point, all the Packers have to do is really pass the football, but as we stated, they have Aaron Rodgers, one of the greatest QBs of all time. Inexplicably, on a 4th and 7, rookie DaRon Bland gets beat, which it makes you wonder what in the world was going on. Anthony Brown was burned earlier for another touchdown and was beaten badly by the Packers receiver Christian Watson, who really hadn't done anything up until this game. And obviously Kelvin Joseph got more playing time, DaRon Bland got more playing time, and the defense just fell apart. So, of course, when you look at these games, and as we do as sports fans, we always have to not always try to assign blame, but we look for where did things go wrong. And oftentimes you can say it was Dak Prescott, it was the defense, but I think everybody gets a fair share of this blame pie. Now, unlike other Cowboys fans, there was a questionable pass interference call that should have been called on CeeDee Lamb or against the Green Bay Packers cornerback, because clearly he got there before the ball got to CeeDee Lamb. But at Chin Check Radio, we're not going to just say that one play cost the game. There were other factors that cost the Dallas Cowboys. We talked about Dak Prescott's 2 interceptions that resulted in 2 Green Bay Packers touchdowns. You can't have that on the road, especially a Packers team that's really fighting for their season. Again, they lost 5 straight games. They had, especially the previous week, they looked awful against the Detroit Lions. So those things shouldn't happen. After showing a mental toughness to be up 28-14, it just seemed the defense fell apart and the offense could not generate anything. So after scoring 14 points in the third quarter, the Dallas Cowboys were shut out in the fourth quarter as well as overtime, and even had a possession of overtime that a lot of people are going to question Mike McCarthy's going forward on 4th down. I didn't have a problem with that. Can somebody tell Dak Prescott, and y'all gonna get Dak for a second, and Dak, if you're listening, it's okay to run a ball every now and again. Now, I know in the first half you were getting 3rd and 1s and 4th and 1s, but every now and again when a game is clutch and the game is tight and the game is critical, it's okay to run the ball, because you see Aaron Rodgers picked up some first downs with his legs. Jalen Hurts picks up key first downs with his legs, and that generally takes the sting out of a defense. It's a backbreaker type thing. So Dak, I know you want to be a pocket quarterback. Maybe you still have some PTSD from the horrific injury that you suffered in 2020, but it's okay to actually run the football more, because that was your bread and butter when you first got into the league as a rookie. Well, clearly everybody's going to get to the league, but when you first entered the league and you played as a rookie, that was clearly a strength. I know you have transitioned to a pocket quarterback, but it's okay to mix up the run. Let's wear these defenses down. So it's okay to do that, Dak. Some of the play calling, again, people are going to question Kellen Moore, but our issue is the Green Bay Packers had the 27th ranked run defense, and you really should have been running the ball all day long down the Packers' throat, as evidenced by 149 yards total from the Dallas Cowboys, 115 by Pollard, 38 by Malik Davis, and Dak Prescott had all of 6 yards rushing on 4 attempts. So I think in a long of 2 yards. So Dak, it's okay to run the football. Nobody's going to kill you, and definitely let's keep the other offenses off the field. On the defensive side, this is where some of your problems lie. Even making the trade for big boy Jonathan Hankins, a recurring problem is rearing its ugly head like last season. Even when the Cowboys are winning, go back and listen to some of the episodes we did when the Cowboys were 6-1 and 7-1. We noticed that the run defense is a little bit leaky and a little bit suspect. We said this last time, and it got progressively worse, and it really reared its ugly head in the playoff game, and that was among the other mishaps even on the offensive side. Even when the Cowboys were generating turnovers and sacks, and you had Micah Parsons doing his thing, and you had a DeMarcus Lawrence resurgence, Sam Williams made plays, Dante Fowler made plays, but they were always getting beat on the interior. And the Chicago Bears, they were getting beat up in the previous game by the Chicago Bears, giving up over 200 yards rushing. Now you can chalk it up to a mobile quarterback in Justin Fields. So that's why I and a lot of other Cowboys fans thought that, okay, we kind of allowed that. It's still a lot of yards to be giving up because the other running back had a high yards per attempt average. We felt that was a problem, and everyone knew that the Green Bay Packers we're going to run the football. That was common knowledge. It was on every sports channel. Every expert has said for the Green Bay Packers to win this game and salvage their season, they're going to have to run the football. And the Dallas Cowboys gave up 207 yards rushing. If you take away the 4 yards of Aaron Rodgers running, the Cowboys gave up 203 yards rushing and 138 to the running back Aaron Jones. Folks, that is a problem that needs to be addressed ASAP. Not being able to run the football with not being able to stop the run with Quentin Bohanna, Neville Gallimore, Big Hankins, Carlos Watkins. Something has to give. This is pretty bad. Cowboys fans, you'll wonder why when I got into y'all this past season when I said this kid, John Ridgeway, I think he would have helped in kind of anchoring the run, and Cowboys fans are trying to talk me out of it. I said this back then. You need big run stuffers who can make it happen. While everybody is talking about Odell Beckham and the Cowboys should make a play for Odell Beckham, I tell you one guy who's looking for a job right now who can't pick up the phone, give him a call. One in Ndamukong Suh. You want to show up your run defense? And Ndamukong Suh is a free agent. Throw him $1 million or $2 and see what you can get. Because I think Ndamukong Suh would be an upgrade over what you have now. That's a problem. Now, that's where there is serious cause for concern is 2 weeks in a row, we do not have any adjustments for the running game. Besides Trevon Diggs, the secondary was getting toasted. Again, Anthony Brown. Why did you hold on to Anthony Brown? When people want to tell me he's a good cornerback, like we have been saying, the only reason why he had somewhat of a decent season because all his potential replacements were drafted. Now all of a sudden you start to act like you're a football player, so that kind of bought us some time. Yesterday, beaten bad, especially by a rookie who hadn't done much the entire season. He was out of the game. Deron Bland was made to look awful. Kelvin Joseph got beat on some plays. So the defense from the front end to the back end just fell apart in the second half. We don't know what happened. Maybe it was a cold in Lambeau. Maybe it was a bye week. Maybe it was people getting too comfortable. And that's another thing. This is how the Cowboys look off of a bye week. And your run defense was still atrocious. And you have 2 weeks to prepare, knowing what the team is going to do. Now, again, I'm not ready to send Dan Quinn and Kellen Moore to the hanging gallows, unlike Cowboys Twitter is sounding, but it wasn't a good look. They need to right the ship and need to get over it big time. You saw Mike McCarthy slam his headset on the failed 4th down attempt in the 4th quarter. I'm not even mad about that. That's really minor to us in the grand scheme of things, where, he felt that he needed to go for it to kind of get out with the win. I'm not even mad at him about that, but to see him slam the headset, that shows some much needed anger and frustration that needs to be filtered through this team, that stop being complacent, stop getting comfortable. We're getting word out of Dallas that Dalton Schultz and Micah Parsons were calling out other teammates in the locker room. I think that's a good thing. I think it's about time. It's been a long time now we've heard other Cowboys calling other Cowboys out. So that's a good thing. But the Cowboys need to get over this fast and need to get themselves together because they go back on the road at Minnesota, playing against the 8-1 Minnesota Vikings, who just played the game of the year against the Buffalo Bills. So the Cowboys need to get over it as we do this broadcast and start prepping for the Minnesota Vikings, who, oh, by the way, playing another top receiver in the league in Justin Jefferson. Oh, by the way, playing against another top running back in Dalvin Cook. I thought last year Micah Parsons did a great job against Dalvin Cook, which is Cooper Rush's first start. So maybe they can keep Micah Parsons as a middle linebacker, because last year Dalvin Cook couldn't do anything with him. So you might have a more motivated Dalvin Cook. So again, I like the fact that the Cowboys, that the Micah Parsons, I'm reading a quote here from ESPN, quote, and this is coming from one Todd Archer, the ESPN analyst, that Micah Parsons stated, I think it's disgusting. It's something that just can't happen. Like, it's bad. We got to be able to finish games in this league, especially when it's guys like Aaron Rodgers. You got to be able to finish. That's what this game is about. People can say it's just one game, but things like that just can't happen. Bad things tend to repeat. We got to clean this stuff up and stop it now. I like that. Have one of your leaders call guys out and call the team out. And I'm sure Mike will look within himself because there were some plays that he missed or some plays that he didn't make. So I'm okay with that. Have the players call each other out because this is not the end of the season, but at the same time, this loss, because you have the New York Giants who won. So now they are officially third in the NFC East. So something that people seem to be losing sight of that fact is the Cowboys are now third in the NFC East. Let this sink in, ladies and gentlemen. The Cowboys are third in the NFC East, behind the undefeated Philadelphia Eagles, behind the Giants, who only have 2 losses. So now that win against the Giants a few weeks ago on Monday night at this point means nothing because you're a game behind the Giants. So it's something to keep in mind. The Cowboys have the right to ship. They need to get over this loss because the schedule does not get any easier. They play the Vikings next week, and then they have a short week and play a motivated New York Giants team who wants to split the season series with the Cowboys. So while the Cowboys are upset and rightfully so, they can mess around and be 6-5 after Thanksgiving. So when I tell you they need to get over this, they really need to get over this. And the Cowboys right now sitting at 6-3. They can go 4-4 the rest of the way and end up 10-7. So they cannot afford any slip-ups. Right now, this is critical time, and 10-7 might not be enough to get into the playoffs. But that's thinking very far ahead. That's okay. But Cowboys need to get it together. I think they'll be fine, but I like the fact that players are calling out other players. Hopefully they'll come out motivated. They have to make defensive adjustments, especially against the run. Again, while Cowboys fans are raising hell about contacting Odell Beckham, I would hit up Ndamukong Suh, fly him in for a quick workout and see how much shape that he's been staying in. Knowing a big-time athlete like Suh, he probably has. Just a thought down there in Dallas. Just a thought, because the run defense needs to get shored up because it was the same problems that was emerging last year that now it's emerging right at the halfway point in the season, and it's getting bad. For 2 straight weeks, they have given up over 200 yards rushing. Elite teams do not give up 200 yards rushing in back-to-back weeks. So this thing has the potential to go off the rails, but we're not going to overreact. We like the fact that players are calling one another out, especially the leaders. So the Cowboys need to make it happen, get over this loss, play against the Minnesota Vikings, and send a message. So until the next time, the Chin Check Radio, signing out.